Mokpo, South Korea is a coastal city known for its maritime history, delicious seafood, and as a gateway to Jeju Island, which is only 4 hours away by ferry. We want to get to know Mokpo itself, so we'll be spending the next couple of days checking out the tourist highlights. Did you guys know that this is Korea's highest and longest cable car? Is it really? Sampling some of the local delicacies.
Is it like still moving?
And even meeting a few young transplants who explain why they've chosen to call Mokpo home. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Steph, and my husband Pete and our 4-year-old son and I travel a lot. We're spending the month of April driving all around Korea on a big road trip. In our last video, we were in Busan, and our next video will be in Jeonju. So if that sounds interesting, feel free to follow along. And also, we'd like to say a huge thank you to the Korean Tourism Organization for partnering with us on this video. Anyway, here's Mokpo.
Welcome to Mokpo!
Very good. Very good. I don't think I've ever seen a shipwreck before. This one, I don't know which is which, but one of them's from the 14th century and the other's from the 11th century. And I know we have said this a billion times, but the technology at museums in Korea, you never expect it, we should now. It's just incredible. So they've got this massive shipwreck boat, but then they've done the whole room in screens so that you feel like you're in the sea with it. I don't know, from the outside, when you hear like maritime museum, I don't, even though I should, think like cutting edge technology, but we're just always impressed by museums in Korea.
아니, 그건
저는 먹으러 가라
삶은데.
했지. Thank you.
그냥
I'm
면이.
gonna attempt to lift this now. You ready? That's like, you need to be a weightlifter.
It's 40 kilograms.
So I've got a good posture.
Here's a surprising fact. 2,250 vessels have sunk between 1983 and 2020. That's 60 a year. And if you go back further in history, hundreds of thousands of ships have sunk around here. I had no idea about shipwrecks. I also had no idea how much like intact ceramics and dishes there were. Most of these boats, they're just like packed with dishes.
Are we taking a boat tonight?
We are going on a boat this evening. So, I hope it doesn't sink. And because it's Korea, downstairs there's an entire kids section. The museum's here. Our next stop is the Hat Gallery, and Pete just pointed to this building and was like, I think that's the one.
I got my hat.
I've since learned that this museum used to be a hat store for like 100 years. I think it was the first chain store in the Joseon dynasty. Anyway, it closed in 2020, and now it's a place to come learn about lots of hats. Mostly in Korean, but that's never stopped us.
I'm actually a big hat person. I always like to wear a hat, but
Why?
because I'm losing my hair.
Gonna get some more of those Turkish transplant emails. Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if any of our friends that do YouTube or watch, if you make YouTube videos, do you also get emails every week?
Every week. Wait, the best one was
Hair transplants in Turkey, and they're like, we'll put you in a 5-star hotel, and so if you come back, if he all of a sudden has hair one day, you'll know what happened.
But let me know in the comments, should I trade? I always wear baseball caps. Should I trade up a little bit and go for something a little bit more sophisticated? How you doing? How you doing?
That gives me the
How
ick.
you doing?
Following up the Hat Museum with the Mokpo Modern History Museum. This is the oldest building in Mokpo. It's from 1900, so it's not that old.
No.
Mokpo.
Yeah, right. But
And it's housed like a whole bunch of different stuff over the years, but it's got a model, so Hayes is happy.
and me.
You
I
guys
love
models.
a model.
These guys love models.
Some people just hanging their laundry.
Out here hanging their laundry.
Just hanging their laundry.
I don't really know what this is. this place is a great way to understand the history of Mokpo. I'm not going to try to summarize it here, but if you are coming, I would recommend it. And Hayes actually had a really great time, and we've seen lots of other kids here. Hayes just said he wants to go to more museums.
Another Korean specific thing that I've noticed when you come to museums is that you've got a place to put your cups. And then when you leave, you can take your drink again.
Because there's no trash cans. No, but it's nice, you could finish it later. But it is incredibly difficult to find a garbage can in Korea. It was the same in Taipei. I made a reel about how I end up carrying around my trash till the end of the day. And I think it's because there's like certain bags you have to buy to dispose of it. And so they removed public bins to deter people from using those instead of the ones you have to buy. I mean, it works. It's not dirty at all. But you also have to carry your trash around until you find one.
Whoa. Well, this is cool, isn't it? Alright, so if the city was getting attacked by aeroplanes, they would build these shelters so that people could come and shelter from bombs or things being dropped from the sky by aeroplanes. You know?
I've never really thought about what it feels like being in an air raid shelter. This one was built between 1944 and 1945 during Japanese colonial time.
마을 이름은 서산동.
서산동.
어촌마을. 시화 마을은 시화는 이제 이 올라가면 시화.
Up.
시화 골목.
This is Shiwa Village. We've been to a number of these like hilltop Korean villages. This one is particularly famous, I think, for a number of like movie and K-drama sites, especially like a grocery store from a movie from 1987. Now we're in a hair salon from a drama that I haven't seen. We're the worst people ever to tell you about somewhere like this because I love that in Korea, like film locations is such a huge like tourism kind of route. But Pete and I haven't seen a lot of K-dramas or movies. You were just asking if you could play the piano, weren't you? Was this a business that was used as a filming location and now is just a tourist spot? Or was it built here as a set? Like, what are we looking at?
I don't know, but then also how do they make any money?
Yeah, like how, yeah, that's a good point.
We also want to know what this is as well.
We've really lucked out with like the most beautiful spring weather. We've been in Korea for like 3 weeks now. It's been perfect. Today is really gloomy, but I feel like it adds to like the nostalgia factor of that little village and all the like 80s stuff. Speaking of the weather, it's usually so perfect in April, which is why we're really excited to say that we're going to be visiting Korea again next spring, but this time we want you to come. We're excited to host our first ever group trip. If you've seen any of our previous videos in Korea, you might have seen our friend Jay, and we're partnering with his company, Good Mate Travel, on their first ever family-friendly trip. Now, family-friendly can mean all sorts of families or no family at all. Their trips are also perfect for solo travelers, and we welcome anyone. The trip begins on April 8th, 2025. It's 8 days, and we'll visit Seoul, Busan, Jeonju, and Nami Island. We've already announced it on our email list and on Instagram, and so far we have 3 people signed up. We need 8 for it to run. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We would love to have you. There's a link to the trip in the description. There's a QR code on the screen. You can email me. My email's below. You can DM us on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, we'd love for you to join us if it sounds interesting. And we're just really, really excited. Love a handwritten menu. I can't read it, but good sign. We've come for dinner back in the area near the Modern History Museum. I guess it's like the old town. And that handwritten menu was great, but the translations didn't make a lot of sense. Based on Google reviews, I think maybe I'm getting cutlass fish, galchi, which it's called that because it looks like a knife. I don't know. There was mackerel, so that's what Pete ordered, and she recommended duck galbi for Hayes. Do I go this way? But this is so wrong. They had this makgeolli. I feel so bad because Pete's driving, so he can't partake. But I've never seen makgeolli like this thick and creamy. It's like a smoothie. I've never seen anything like this. I'm not sure. It's very pungent. It's very thick. Maybe it pairs well with the food. It's not initially my favorite, but I'm sure I'll come around to it. Chestnut?
Chestnut, yeah. Do you want me to help you?
Recently asked on YouTube like what Hayes eats, and he is a little bit picky. She recommended this, but I just want to point out tuck galbi, which are the like meatballs, is always a good option because it's basically like a hamburger on a plate.
But actually he loves fish, so this might actually be a good meal for him.
Update, it was the knife fish, galchi, cutlass fish? I don't know how to say it. It was very good. It's delicate, not too fishy.
Banana cheers!
P-A-R-T-Y, because I got it.
Why are you spelling it?
What? Isn't that like a famous quote from...
We have found ourselves on another boat. This one's quite different than the little yacht we were on a couple days ago in Busan. So I think we're going to take a little cruise around the Mokpo harbor, and I think, judging by what we saw last night from our hotel room, that it ends with some fireworks.
Life on the ocean waves. I think I'm ready for this. That actually happens. It seems to be like a really favorite Korean pastime. And again! Ow! Whoa!
That's a wrap on Mokpo day 1. See you tomorrow.
Alright, come on then, Hazy.
Good morning. It's another gloomy day in Mokpo. That's okay, because our first stop of the morning is a place that sounds really interesting. It's called Don't Worry Village.
Yeah, feel free to take some photos. We make some travel for young generation. They come here and they meet some people and many people, and they go to around Mokpo and they come here and they drink beer and they go to a night view and they feel some comfortable.
We're about to go visit the famous rocks, but our visit to Don't Worry Village was really interesting. Our friend Jay from Seoul told us about those guys, and then we read about them in BBC and a couple of other articles. The founder, who we met, moved here 7 years ago and started it, and it's a travel company, but also they do these like month-long retreats for stressed out millennials, more or less, and now operate shorter kind of packages around Mokpo, basically for like burnt out Seoul people, sort of. The founder who we met and his wife and 2 of the travel managers were all kind of in that category of people that weren't enjoying the pace of work in Seoul and moved here. So he was a mechanical engineer, there was a musician, a historian, and it was really interesting to learn about them kind of creating a community here in Mokpo. The founder also looked at Chiang Mai and Jeju for doing something like this, but sounded like he really fell in love with kind of the retro feel of Mokpo and the traditional old town and traditional restaurants. So it was really cool to hear about young people sort of investing in a community like Mokpo, which they said the area that they're in has like 2,400 residents but loses about 200 every year. So a very cool initiative, and they do a 5 a.m. sunrise tour where you get to go to a fish auction, which we don't have time for. But if we ever come back to Mokpo, that is high priority. So thanks to Jay for that connection, and let's go see this rock. I swear we're going to the rock in a second, but that guy's mixing waffle batter with like a power drill.
Those guys at Don't Worry Village are onto something, because this has been one of the friendliest places we've been. Now people have let us stop to like talk to us and chat to us. Hayes always gets the most attention, but it's been really nice. This lady here has just been chatting to us for the last few minutes walking along.
Her dog's name is Cloud and he's 9 years old.
Oh,
Cloud, gurum, 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 gurum. One of Mokpo's famous attractions is this. It's called hat bawi. Hat is like a traditional Korean hat. Bawi, I'm probably saying both wrong. I asked the guys at Don't Worry Village like 10 times how to say it. It means rock. And there's 2 of them looking at each other. It's like a natural sculpture. I think we said that Mokpo is known as like the romantic city. And I'm trying to have a positive attitude about this weather instead of like gray and gloomy. Isn't it romantic? I'm not putting this in there. No, I don't like posting on YouTube.
We're at like a little like park here, and we just saw something back there, and we also saw someone pushing like a little boat, something, and they're like 0 swings, I think. I don't know if you see them. And I didn't know about you, but have you been to the country? Tell me on your channel. If you don't have channels, just tell me. Goodbye.
I like to enjoy my coffee in the bathtub.
We had some seaweed bibimbap for lunch, and we've come for a quick coffee before we go to the cable car. This is Udall dairy products. Yeah. Lucy has this strawberry milk. Hey, that looks good. The founder at Don't Worry Village, when we were like asking what made him move to Mokpo, he kept talking about how it was like old and traditional. This is a very like retro 90s themed, it said. It feels older. It's not something I totally understand, since it's not my culture to be nostalgic about, but I'm sort of beginning to understand what he meant by the traditional kind of old school feel of Mokpo. This is a really cool cafe. Oh, it's okay. Oh, okay, okay. We took our shoes off because we saw. Okay. Okay. We took our shoes off because we saw some other people in another room had, but we chose the bathroom room, so she's telling us we didn't need to take our shoes off. I don't know. One thing I love about Korea is they drink a lot of, I guess it's an Einsteiner on some menus. Here it translated as Vienna coffee. I don't know if that's the same thing, but it's basically like coffee with like whipped cream on top. Great afternoon, pick me up.
How you doing?
They have clothes there as well, so you can
really get into the theme of this place. What do you think?
It kind of works.
I'm Rose Hero Heights, but I never cool this.
Great.
Did you guys know that this is Korea's highest and longest cable car?
Is it really? That one in Tongyong was pretty high, wasn't it?
I feel like that had a stat too, but the brochure said highest and longest.
Yeah. No, I'm not disputing.
I was just saying to Pete, when I saw pictures of Mokpo and knew we were going to visit it, I was imagining like flying the drone and getting all these gorgeous shots of these like green islands jutting out of this blue sea, blue skies. And what we got was not that. But you know what? That's what happens sometimes.
Now this is really high. Like I'm just looking at this big pylon that's holding up this cable, and it's very high. And we're just about to go over the ocean, which is going to be really
guys,
cool. I'm getting some great stuff here. That's going to be on Instagram. So if you're not
I'm
following us already on Instagram,
Also,
Oh, now I'm scared because if you fell in one of these.
Stephanie,
Okay.
that's not helpful.
Also, we're gonna go down to the ocean. Like
Look at
this.
that damage. Oh wow. I mean, this is a day of heights, isn't it?
I'm not scared because I'm not walking. Daddy, you do see that? Is that crazy as a walk over the water?
Once you make it to the top of the cable car, you can then go on a short walk up to the Gohado Observatory, which is what we're doing. Unfortunately, I don't know how much there is to observe when visibility is like it is today, but it's still pretty impressive.
This is pretty romantic. Right?
Pretty not fun.
Can you see where we're going?
No?
That is crazy.
That was really fun despite the weather. The way back felt faster and less terrifying. I can say this now that we're not over the ocean, but one of my biggest fears is like driving over bridges over water and the thought of plummeting into the water and sinking inside a big metal car. You know? And I've been okay with cable cars in the past, but I had that thought when we were over the ocean about how miserable it would be to sink in one of these, which isn't going to happen. This is totally safe and wonderful, but now at least if we've all, well, I don't know if it's better. Dinner time! I didn't think that I would be willingly eating live octopus again. We ate it 2 years ago with Jay and Seoul, but Mokpo is known for a special type of thin-legged octopus, which everybody in this restaurant seems to be eating raw with the raw beef. So that's what we're about to do.
When in Mokpo, do as the Mokpo do.
Poor Pete is the one that has to eat live octopus without a beer to wash it down. Did you know? So Pete got breathalyzed. There was like a police road stop yesterday where they were breathalyzing everybody, and so Pete got breathalyzed. It was like a Saturday afternoon. And so it made us curious what the blood alcohol level that you could get in trouble for here is, and it was 0.03, which doesn't mean anything to me, but apparently I think in the UK and the US it's like 0.08. It's almost 3 times as high. Not that we were planning on drinking and driving, but it is interesting to know those things. You shouldn't do that anyway, but here, and then I was like, okay, well what is a 0.03, and apparently like one drink puts you between a 0.02 and a 0.04. So you absolutely cannot drink and drive in Korea, if I understand it correctly, which, you know, maybe not.
Like, why is it still alive? But why is its eye not alive?
Oh, I can still feel it moving in there. I'm just like so conscious of it, I just want to like crunch it. That was a big bite though.
Guys, I have to wrong for a second?
1 second.
I see.
Still going. Still going.
Is this like still moving?
I love the beef tartare. And I love cooked octopus, so I'm just gonna... Last time we had had a few beers by this point? Yeah.
Do you know what I just saw? I saw like, whoa, you can moving. Is that cool? It's like eating.
It's like mind over matter, but it also makes me want to gag a little. I'm so sorry. I feel rude saying that. It's not... The taste is totally fine. It's something moving in your mouth, but look how beautiful this pajam looks.
That was that beer to wash it down.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That really helps. I think it's so cool that this is a thing. I mean, we're exposing ourselves. It's 4:30. That's what time we're eating dinner on a Sunday. That table just left. This place is super busy. Yeah. We made a decent dent. You didn't think we were going to leave Mokpo without visiting the fish market, did you? Hayes has no greater spring in his step than when he is in a fish market. He has loved them since he was a baby. Speaking of the breathalyzer conversation from last night, we just saw a bunch of police stopping people right outside the market. And the other day we saw some fishermen that had just come back in from their catch enjoying like a lot of soju, like 10 a.m. on the dock. So that must be a thing.